Hi, everyone. I hope everyone's having a beautiful day. I have a couple interesting topics today. I want to talk about Gail King for a second again because I think we might be coming down on her a bit much because I think she might have said something that we've all taken out of context. Because I learned something else about that little cock rocket situation with Jeff Bezos and his girlfriend, whatever. That makes something she said that people are really upset about make a lot more sense. And then I want to talk about something else. A term that I learned just a couple of years ago in a woman's group. Someone had made a post about it, and I was like, what is this? So grab a snack, come on back, because we are going to break down the dirty delete. Okay, awesome, cool. Gail. Let's talk about Gail. Let's talk about Gail and the cock rocket situation. Gail said in one of her interviews, "Oh, hi, baby. Kobe's gonna come say hi. Oh, you wanna come say hello? Say hi. Say hi. I love you." He's so handsome. Okay. So Gail said in one of her interviews, and people were livid about this, mad. They were mad. She said, when she was talking about the backlash, she said, I don't understand why nobody has said anything to the men about, like, the men who had gotten into space, they didn't call it a ride, or it wasn't as, I don't know. She alluded to the fact that maybe they were women and they were getting different treatment. We were all like, no, Gail, no. That it's not because you're women, it's because you're framing this as science. Well, not you, or not Gail specifically. I mean, any one of those girls was behind this. There's a bunch of dudes behind it, first of all. Um, but framing it as science and empowering women and blah, 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 and da, da, da. I would like to do another video because I've been looking into the other three women on the cock rocket, and actually, I don't know why they didn't lead with their story. I think people would have received it a lot better, especially the masses, when everyone's struggling right now. So anyways, Gail said, well, they didn't say this about the men. They wouldn't say the men aren't astronauts, or it's just a ride, or blah blah blah, whatever, all the stuff that everyone's saying. And that didn't really make a whole bunch of sense. And everyone just jumped and attacked without thinking. Gail King is aware that other women have been in space, like actual space. We have women astronauts. We have women living on the space station. This has been happening for quite some time now. Um, but what I learned was, and I didn't even realize, I didn't think about it really, I guess. This wasn't like the cock rocket's maiden voyage. They have already thrown that thing up there 10 times. And I'm assuming there were probably men inside of it. So I feel like maybe when she said, oh, well, the men didn't get this kind of whatever, I think maybe she was just talking about the men who had been up there in the 10 prior times before that specific situation, that very specific, I don't even know what it's called. It's not, I mean, is it a rocket ship? I don't know what it doesn't matter. Irrelevant. But everyone jumped on her because they thought she was making it more of a feministic situation than what it actually was. But if you think about it from Gail's perspective, maybe she didn't realize the only reason that people weren't making fun of the boys is because nobody knew that they went up there. I didn't know that they had already gone up there. I mean, figures they're not going to throw Katy Perry up. I mean, Jeff Bezos isn't going to throw his girlfriend up there the first time. You're like, oh, see if she comes back. Which, good for you. That makes you a good boyfriend. Don't throw your girlfriend into space on the first try. You throw an apple or something up there. Let's see how that works first. But I feel like That's what she meant. That had to be what she meant. That had to be what she meant because everyone knows that women have been at space for quite some time. So I feel like this is a really good example of how someone can say something that makes perfect sense in the context of the knowledge that they have, but when the masses or anyone else hears it without that very specific context, it looks crazy. It sounds crazy. I really think that's what she meant. And I didn't realize that that thing had already gone up there 10 times. It makes a lot of sense now. But it would have been more impressive, I guess, maybe a little. Katy Perry was like, I got this. I'll be your guinea pig. Let's see if it happens. I wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't do it on the 20th or 30th or 40th. I wouldn't do it on the 1000th or millionth time. Like I said before, I have no business in space. I like to learn about space. I think it's very pretty. I think the cool thing about space is that we don't know. Space for adults is like Santa Claus for kids, right? It's a whole bunch of mystery and just excitement and possibilities, and anything can be. It's a place where an adult imagination is still allowed to roam. And that's amazing. I love that. It's very interesting. So maybe we missed the mark because we didn't have that extra context that Gail had. That she was probably talking about whoever was their little flight crew the first 10 times. I bet it was a bunch of Jews. I wonder if Jeff Bezos went. If his girlfriend went and he didn't, like that says something about who's a little bit more adventurous in that relationship. That's what I'm saying. And like I said, I don't remember his face. No. I'm good right here on the ground. I'm very happy here. Okay. Dirty delete. Let's talk about dirty delete. Let's talk about social media. Many people have this love-hate relationship with social media, or, I mean, I don't even want to just say Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, all of it. But it truly is just like pretty much everything else. You can't polarize it as only good or only bad. That's not realistic. You can, if you're working off your own confirmation bias, which we're actually going to come back to that in a minute. But we have to be able to acknowledge there are good and nasty. With the good, there's gonna come the nasty. That happens with almost everything. There are downsides to everything. And you are going to see exactly what's in front of you by what you're looking for. I've said it so many times. If you are looking for the worst in every situation, you're absolutely going to find it. It's not hard. Likewise, though, you can do the opposite too. And you can use your own intentional focus. You can use your own top-down cognition, which is what I really want to talk about when it comes to Contextually Human. That YouTube channel that I'm going to be launching at the end of the year, and I want it to be, this is just me talking to you guys. This is just casual to me, but I would like to make it. I'm practicing. I would like to make it a little bit more coherent. I know that I have a tendency to jump everywhere, and I'm working on that. I'm working on it. I'm trying. And you'll see me do it in many of these videos. I'm like, okay, where was I? Okay, come back. Where were we? That's just adult ADD in action. It's my job as a human, as an individual, to train myself how to work around that or find a solution to that. And that's what I am working on. And I'm using my own neuroplasticity to do it. And I can't wait to teach you guys that too. Okay. Dirty delete. So social media has all the pros and cons that everything else does. Okay. It can be absolutely beautiful. Think about this sense of community, before. And one of my very favorite comedians, Josh Johnson, has a little skit, or what's it called? Stand up. I don't know. Piece on this. Um, I just did it. Where was I? Okay. So, okay. Right. Back. Okay. See? So, one of the beauties about having social media is that if you're going through something very specific, you can go onto almost any platform and type in so and so support, so and so group, depression, miscarriage, blah blah blah, um, loss of a loved one, etc. You can always find a sense of community in your phone, and it doesn't matter what you're into. Even if you're into weird stuff, there's a place for you online. Anyways, but my point is, the beauty is that there's so often in life when we are mere mortals. We are only human. We are only here for a little while. And we can choose to do as much as we can with that short period of time, or we can choose to let it pass us by. But that choice is always yours. The point is that within that spectrum, within that realm, that scope of our own reality, of our own existence, and in our own individual lifespans, we are all going to go through different things. We're going to have different experiences, which will ultimately lead into adulthood why we view things with such different lenses, which is a gift. One person doesn't know everything. One person doesn't have to experience everything, because we have each other. And that's beautiful. That's amazing. Before the internet, before social media, especially if you, like, I can only think of people who live in a very small town. I don't live in a small town. I live in Virginia Beach. I live in a weird town where we have a whole bunch of people, and the people, it's like there's so many people, but it's hard to leave without seeing somebody that you grew up with, especially if you started off here and you're still here 40 years. It's, well, not as much the last 3 years because I moved a little bit further inland, but especially when I lived, I mean, my whole life I lived at the oceanfront, kind of where I grew up, right around that area, right around oceanfront, like between oceanfront, Pungo, that kind of Nemo area, forever. So I could go to 7-Eleven and see 3 people I know, but there are so many people in this town. You would not, for as many people as you can run into that you either know or know of, you would think that we had a lot less people living here. I think, I don't remember. I usually check populations. I check global populations a couple times a year. I know that sounds really weird, but I always do it. I like to know how many people are on Earth. It's just one of my weird things that I do. The last time we were approaching 8.3, the beginning of this year, we were right approaching 8.3 billion. Also, those numbers do fit into a lot of my metaphors. So it's information that I should have if I'm going to sound like I'm making any sense. But that is something like a little weird that I always just done. So we have the pros and cons. And one of the pros is that you can pick up your phone, your device, whatever, and talk to anyone. And in that way, it has brought us closer and built communities that before we didn't have access to, right? But I think about the downside. Oh, and of course, opportunities, especially, I mean, think about the last time you needed something that maybe you either couldn't afford to buy the new version or didn't really want to spend money on the new version because you had to spend your money somewhere over here for life, and you bought some on Facebook Marketplace. It provides opportunities for each other in multiple ways, but there are downsides. Downsides are that anyone's going to say anything to you because they can hide behind the anonymity of being in their own room where you can't reach them. You know how much I love my block button? I wish it was that easy to shut people up in real life. Can you imagine? um, so yeah, people are mean. And people are going to be a lot meaner when they're not. I mean, people generally, I'm going to say, when you see someone being nasty online to someone else, I'm going to go ahead and venture that somewhere between 95 and 98% of the time when they're in public, they would never speak that way. See what I'm saying? But there are no consequences. There is just the consequences of the social aspect, but then you get into groupthink and that kind of bullying. And oh my goodness, you guys, I have a whole story from the BLM movement situation that I will be making a video on. You get into this groupthink where people are joining a sense of community. They're looking for a sense of community, but joining out of hate, right? And when I'm talking about my experience with the BLM movement, I don't mean that movement as a whole. I was into that. They just weren't into me. All over a miscommunication. Whatever. Anyways. So yeah, it has its ups and downs. But it does give you a place to speak and being able to have a voice. I get so annoyed when I see some of y'all and other people's posts. I mean, most of my comments are closed, so I don't really get this that much anymore. And I do think over the years, at first, when I started speaking about what was going on, it just seemed like I was just another bad mom who lost her kids and was complaining on the internet about it. But as I have made, 30 plus videos on a courthouse kidnapping, I've been speaking here. Thank goodness for you guys. And I have the website and everything. And another big point that I really want to drive home, because I've learned this myself, I've experienced it myself. When I started making these videos, I sent one to one of my friends from a while ago, and he was like, you don't have to explain yourself to people, Jamie. And I thought about that. And that's not always true. He doesn't have to explain himself to anybody. But I have learned throughout all of this that when you let other people speak for you and you allow the narrative to just run wild and don't pay attention to it, that can cause some very real nasty consequences for you, because people are idiots. And the independent thinking skills aren't there already. But even if they were, even in the individuals who do have a little bit more insight to group dynamics. I always bring up that when we used to play telephone in elementary school. You ever play that game in elementary school? All the kids would sit in a circle and it would start off with a message, and it would go ear to ear. And then by the time the message got to the end, it was always skewed AF. Not allowed to say the F word here. It was never the same, because that's what we do. We are humans. That is just human nature. That's not even out of anyone being nasty. That's just how we take in information and then regurgitate it back out. You always put your own spin on it, even when you're telling someone else's story, because you're telling that story through your lens, through your emotions, through your own experiences, And that's just being human. I don't think that makes anyone a bad person. I'm sure there are a lot of people over the last 3 years who probably, I don't know. Maybe they don't, unless they don't know of the things that I've heard. But I've heard a lot of things that were said about me, and most of it I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. And not even close to true. But it did take a while for me to speak. And to be fair, like I said, when there's only one narrative going around and you don't step up and say, No, that's not exactly the case. People are going to run with that, and they're going to fill in the blanks the way they want. And they're usually going to get it wrong, even if they're not trying to be nasty. That's not necessarily malicious. That's just how the human brain works. So, back to the dirty delete. So, I saw in a group, and this is a couple months ago. No, more than a couple months ago. This was like a couple of years ago. It was like when I first moved in here. Someone posted in one of the women's groups, how you feel about it, and a dirty delete. And I thought, what's a dirty delete? I don't know. Like I hadn't put it together yet. They explained it, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. Because I asked in the comments, I was like, what does this mean? They said, and if you don't know, I don't know, it's when you make a post and then delete it. Well, they had to put the word dirty in front of it, as if changing your mind when presented with new information is a bad thing. No, it isn't, baby. No, it isn't. Another downfall of social media, Facebook, Instagram, everything. Another downfall of us living our lives online, which as many of us do. And I'm very grateful that, because I told you all many times, this is where I'm allowed to exist. Especially with everything that's going on. The courthousekidnapping.com. I've been deleted. And, I'll link the YouTube channels and the website, as I always do. But no, the internet has convinced you that you have to stand firm on your beliefs, even when presented with information that you probably didn't have before, is a flaw. That is a flawed way of thinking. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. No human being has the capability of knowing everything. We're not robots. We're not computers. We're not AI. We're BI, biological intelligence. I don't know if that's a thing. I might have just made it up. But your brain, yes, it's the most beautiful, complex, intricate, mysterious machine known to man-made or natural, is the human brain. And it's amazing. It's beautiful. And you can use it how you need to if you know how. But it isn't infallible. I am not infallible, and neither are you. Nobody is. Neither is the person sitting next to you. We're not. We're people. We don't know everything. And the most ignorant thought you could possibly have is to assume that you already know everything. That is the dumbest thing. No individual of true intelligence thinks that. I promise you that right now. I promise you that right now. Any individual of the human species who is even halfway intelligent is very well aware that they don't know everything. We don't know everything. It's impossible by default. Even the Neuralink beta tester subject, which I heard there's some interesting things going on with that guy. Has problems. I don't know for sure. I'll come back and report. But even he doesn't know everything. He has a freaking computer chip in his brain. No, you don't owe it to anyone to be the same person you were yesterday or last week or last month or last year. How would you ever learn anything if you always stayed the same? How would you ever evolve? How would you ever grow? How would you ever experience anything new? No, that is not healthy. It's not healthy. It's not rational. It's not realistic. And the fact that this dirty delete term has come about, it really does reinforce what I was talking about at the beginning of the video with the confirmation bias, where one, you're only looking information. You can only intake information that already solidifies your own pre-existing beliefs, regardless of how educated or uneducated those beliefs may be. That's not the way to do it. Life Coach Jamie. Look, we're coming soon on Patreon. Do whole coaching there. It's going to be kind of like that. No. First of all, the only person that you need to be worried about, the only person I need to be worried about, the only person any of us need to be worried about being better than is the person that we were yesterday. Right? Exactly. However, that's never going to happen if you refuse new information. That's really stupid. Straight up. That's a really stupid way to live. The rational thing that we need to be doing is to be able to be objective, step outside, look at everyone's box from every direction. That's really difficult to do, and you do have to train yourself to do it. But the whole idea of being open-minded and openness is a personality trait recognized by psychology. Openness. How open are you to new ideas, which really translates to how open are you to learning and bettering yourself in your own reality? Maybe life has beat you down. Maybe life has left you as half of who you once were. Well, guess what? That means you have half of space, of room to build the rest of it to look exactly the way you want it to. What a blessing. Build the rest of you exactly the way you want it to. If you feel like only half a person, awesome. That means you have a whole nother half left to develop. Start working on that and love it. Find passion in that. That's what I'm going to teach you through coaching and inspiration going soon on Patreon. So anyways, this dirty delete situation is dirty. It stinks. I don't like it because it doesn't make any sense. It's not. No. You should allow yourself to change your mind. Trust me. This is very good advice. Allow yourself to have your mind change when presented with new information. There's nothing wrong with that. It's weird that social media has manipulated people into believing that, oh, well, you said it, so now you have to think this right. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm already at 28 minutes. Thank you guys so much. As always, I'm so appreciative of you. And we really just, one of my big objectives of Contextually Human when that channel launches is going to be going over all of these cognitive distortions that we all are guilty of throughout the day. This is just how our brain works until you learn how to recognize, maybe I should. And I do that. I correct myself all the time. We need to do that. You need to be able to correct yourself. Oh, also, if anyone thinks I've dirty deleted anything, I haven't. But I do change my privacy settings to subscribers only, which is why I said in one of my previous videos about the subscribers tier that it's a bit of a different version of me. Because, of course, I'm a human being. I'm a psychopath. I've never been diagnosed with psychopathy. I have emotions too. And sometimes I feel like I want to be brave. And then I am brave. Then I look at it and I'm like, oh, maybe that was too brave. And then I'll change it, Or I'll look back and be like, oh, I was upset when I said this. It's still true. But I'm not as upset about it now. I don't delete it. I just changed the privacy to subs only. You have to pay me to see it. It's $9.99 a month. Oh, and my subscribers, they get priority in my DMs, of course. Of course. What was the other thing? Subs. Oh, so it was so cute. Real quick, I was talking to my daughter Mona. She's 13. When I was first doing the subscribers only stuff, and I had to say multiple times, there are no nudes on there. You're not gonna find me naked on the internet anywhere. Don't look. Stop looking. If someone posted it, it wasn't me, and that was illegal. So it's not, no, it's not like that. I'm very sorry that Jesus tricked us all by giving me a particularly slutty face, I suppose, because it doesn't really match my personality very much. But I was talking to Mona about, and she was asking, 999, whatever. And I said, well, and I was trying to explain. I was like trying to kind of use this as kind of, and you'll understand. I said, because baby, I was like, until I do the coaching a new generation on Patreon, launching soon on Patreon. I was like, because remember, sweetheart, if you give something to everyone, it's not that special anymore. You know? You know what Mama's saying to you? She's 13. It's important to instill those values early. You don't give it away to everyone. You can do that. Because then everyone has it. It's basic supply and demand. It's not that. And I'm going to go ahead and link a lot of people, and I didn't realize that y'all didn't know. I guess I haven't really announced it that much. That I run, see how many active right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 8 active other dedicated pages on Facebook. They're not my personal profile. I have the coaching page, New Generation Coaching. Mental Health VB is still up. I have them all written down. Just Another Jamie is kind of like my personal. It's kind of like the personal one that you guys see on Jamie C. Spence, the personal Facebook page. But I do keep most of the custody stuff off of that page because I want people to have a place to go see me where it's light and they don't have to see all that horrible shit, because it's horrible and I don't blame you for not wanting to see it. The last thing I would ever want to do is, this trauma doesn't need to hurt anyone else, is what I'm saying. You know, I do want to be informative, but also this is my fight and everyone has their own problems. And the last thing I want to do is make anybody any more stressed. You know, life is already stressful. You don't need me doing that, trauma dumping all my stuff all the time. I started doing this on the Facebook and YouTube to speak out about what was going on with my children and the trafficking in Virginia Beach, the litigation trafficking that's happening right now. And of course, I will be posting a courthousekidnapping.com link too. But I'll link all of the other Facebook pages as well below this one. I have Face It, We're 40. Let me talk about starting off beautifully young at 40. I think that in the bio or the tag or whatever, I was like, I don't know who you're calling old, beautiful humans. We're just getting started. I do feel like I'm just getting started. Like I learned everything I know. The first 40 years was training. And the next 40 years is going to be the fruits of that training, I guess. I don't know. Laugh track. A lot of you guys have also been shared to laugh track. So I see something funny on y'all's. Sometimes I'll share it to mine, but I always share it to laugh track. I try to keep my personal a little sprinkled with everything. Odd Online Oddities is a very fun page that I created and I run. And it's exactly what the name is, Odd Online Oddities. Logic lessons, where we break things down a little bit different because we take the emotion out of it and just look at it logically. This is what it is. This is what it is. It's okay to feel this way. How you feel about it doesn't matter because this is what it is. And then aimlessly agnostic, which I haven't really worked on too much. I've posted a couple things over there, but that's where I would really like to bring in religion and talk about everyone's religion. I think we could all learn from each other there. There will be no fighting. I don't know if I'll have comments open there because people get real emotional and get upset. And that's not what I want it to be. I don't want it to be nasty. I would like it to be a place where people can go and learn from everyone. Let's learn from each other. That is what I've been preaching forever. And a newer one that I've been working on called We the People. And that's going to be about court corruption and what am I trying to say? Wealth disparities, right? Is that what I'm saying? That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay. So I will also link my 2 YouTube channels. And if you're watching this on Facebook, congratulations. You get to see it like a month before anyone on the vlog channel gets to see it. I always post everything here first. And all the Instas. I've been a busy girl. Thank you guys so much. If nobody has told you that you're important today, allow me. Yes, you are. You are important. You are strong. You are capable. And you can be whatever version of yourself you choose to be. Yes, you can. I'll show you. We'll all get through it together. We're all in this together. 8.3 billion people under them keeping tabs. I'm so silly. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I'm thinking about maybe doing a live tonight. If you are watching this on YouTube a month after I have recorded it, consider coming and following me over on Facebook. Jamie C. Spence. We do lives over there, subscriptions over there, $9.99 a month if you want to hear me just vent, I guess. It's all well written. What matters. I'm so appreciative of you. Truly. So appreciative of you, all of you, everyone watching this with eyeballs. I appreciate you. You are important. You are an integral part of it all. We all are. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do, to stay grateful for all of our blessings, for bringing us peace. And we need to stay grateful for every single one of our challenges, for bringing us strength, as they are both equally important. Learn how to fight and learn how to surrender. You're going to need both in life if you're going to be successful. Thank you guys so much. As always, always when smiling, just